The Luton v Millwall riot took place on March 13, 1985, at Luton Town's Kenilworth Road venue in Luton, Bedfordshire, England, prior to, during and following a football match between Luton Town and Millwall in the 6th round of the 1984-85 FA Cup. This was among the worst cases of football hooliganism in the 1980s. With Millwall's ascent in the English game during the 1980s, their link to football hooliganism became more and more evident. By 1985, Millwall's Bushwackers had already established themselves as one of the most infamous hooligan groups in the nation, while Luton Town had its own subset of MIGs of hooligans. 7 years prior, during another FA Cup 6th round encounter against Ipswich Town, hundreds of Millwall supporters had been hurt by hooligans loyal to their own team at the Den, the home of Millwall. Bobby Robson, the manager of Ipswich, felt that the police should have turned the flamethrowers on them after the incident. In a testimonial match for Millwall legend Harry Cripps in 1972, hundreds of Millwall and West Ham clashed in a scene one policeman described as a war zone and led the way for 50 years of hatred between the rival fans. Luton was ranked 3rd in the 3rd tier, while Millwall was ranked 2nd from bottom in the 1st division on the day of the match. An open terrace in 1985. The stand's capacity is thought to have been reached by 10,000 spectators that evening. Millwall requested that Luton make the Wednesday night game all-ticket, but the request went unanswered. On the day of the match, an abnormally sizable away crowd, twice as big as Millwall's typical home gate, arrived. By 5 p.m., local newsagents and bars were seeing broken windows, and the police were finding it difficult to handle the situation. That evening, the away supporters were to be accommodated in the Kenilworth stand, which was still a large terrace. By 7:00 p.m., 45 minutes before kickoff, it was packed with fans even settling on the scoreboard supports after the turnstiles malfunctioned. After 10 minutes, hundreds of spectators climbed the fence in front of the stand and descended the pitch towards the throng of Luton supporters gathered in the crowded Oak Road end, rendering Bedfordshire police powerless to stop them. The home crowd fled up the terraces in a storm of bottles, cans, nails, and coins, but they were outnumbered as more people entered the stand and could do nothing to stop the projectiles. After emerging from the tunnel to warm up, the players almost instantly disappeared. After that, the rioters attacked the Bobbers stand, stealing seats and using them as weapons. Graham made an appeal over the loudspeakers on the ground, but it was ignored. A message on the electronic scoreboard of the stadium stated that the game would not begin until they were back in their designated area. The fans left the Kenilworth stand and only came back when Graham showed up on the sidelines. Some people were still able to enter the main stand after this, which led to sporadic clashes and the removal of further seats. The field was cleared thanks to the presence of police dogs, and the game started on schedule with many fans perched on the floodlight pylons. The match events. Kicking in the direction of the Millwall supporters, Luton began the contest. The game was called off after just 14 minutes when the visiting supporters started to riot once more. The contest was stopped for 25 minutes by the referee, who then restarted play with both teams. Brian Stein gave Luton the lead after 31 minutes, and the home team led by this score at the half. As the game went into its closing minutes, there was concern that the pitch might be invaded again to force an abandonment and avert a Millwall loss. Even though some fans tried to stop the game, more police were able to maintain order. A match steward was struck by one of the removed seats that was thrown. Les Seeley, the goalie for Luton, was hit in the head by a missile during the second half as he had to stand in front of the Millwall supporters. After the game, a knife was discovered in the goal mouth. When the final whistle blew, Luton had won 1-0 and the visiting supporters stormed the ground. The players from Luton and Millwall ran as quickly as they could to the changing room. A hooligan tried to seize Luton coach Trevor Hartley, but Hartley was able to escape and follow the players down the tunnel. Once again, the hooligans headed towards the Bobbers stand. where they began tearing off seats and forcing down the gates in front of the stand. The police began to retreat when the chairs tore from the stand were thrown onto the pitch, but they soon regrouped and charged in waves with batons in hand. The hooligans began to steal seats from the main stand and hurl them like makeshift plastic spears as the cops began to gradually win the fight. Not surprisingly, among the 81 injured, over half were police officers. Sergeant Colin Cook was struck on the head by a concrete block after being caught in the central circle. PC Phil Evans, who was kicked, punched, and struck by the concrete, revived him after he stopped breathing. As the mob and the police engaged in combat, the devastation spread throughout the town, destroying homes, businesses, and cars in its wake. The next morning, after things had calmed down, 31 men were hauled into custody and brought before Luton Magistrates' Court. Of the 31, the majority said they supported teams other than Millwall, mostly West Ham United and Chelsea. The aftermath. After commissioning an investigation, the Football Association, or FA, came to the conclusion that it was not satisfied that Millwall FC took all reasonable precautions in accordance with the requirements of FA Rule 31A. Millwall was fined PS7 500. However, this was revoked upon appeal. The fact that Millwall's name was now synonymous with everything that was bad in football land society was possibly the punishment the team had to endure. The decision to erect fences around Luton Town's ground was likewise overturned. Ken Bates, the chairman of Chelsea, stated he planned to install electric gates at Stamford Bridge in order to prevent something similar from happening at his team. Luton Town banned away supporters for 4 seasons as a result. Luton was eliminated from the Football League Cup in the 1986-87 season as a result of this alone. In addition, the club started enforcing a membership card program which Margaret Thatcher's administration tried to get implemented at stadiums all around England. After the surrounding region and Kenilworth Road sustained damage, the stadium was transformed into an all-seater venue 1 year later. Established in the wake of the incident by Margaret Thatcher's Conservative administration, the football hooliganism known as War Cabinet made unsuccessful attempts to get clubs all over the country to adopt similar plans. Fences were erected at many grounds and police were eventually given extra powers to stop and arrest anyone thought to be a football hooligan. Consequently, powers to control the movement of hooligans were introduced by Section 30 of the Public Order Act 1986, through which exclusion orders could be served on those who were convicted of football-related offences. This match, more than any other hooligan event, changed football forever, and the repercussions are still being felt today. Thanks for watching. Now please subscribe, as it really helps our channel grow.